Hi, I'm Shami Sandhu, broker at RE/MAX River City, and today is Wednesday, January 6th. Today we had the Realtors Association of Edmonton housing forecast. Steve Cedric started off, and he's the chairman of the board of directors of the Realtors Association of Edmonton, and he gave us a recap of the MLS activity for 2015 and the board's prediction for 2016. They predicted that MLS sales volume of single-family homes will dip 2.5%, with condos slipping slightly more at 2.7% from 2015 levels. MLS sales price for single-family and condos expected to dip both 2.7%. Interesting fact this morning was the number of million-dollar-plus homes that sold shot up from 54 in 2009 to 121 in 2015. Here's a slide on the comparison of average housing prices from across Canada. This shows Vancouver being 2.5 times the average price in Edmonton, and they also had the largest increase in the country year over year at 16%. The national average price was still 23% higher than Edmonton at $456,000, which was 10% higher than 2014. Around the capital region, the highest priced real estate can be found in St. Albert, then Sherwood Park, and then Beaumont. The commercial real estate market, as reported by the MLS, saw a significant decline in volume of almost 44%. As I've mentioned as well, the 2015 market conditions were similar to that of 2013, and it was considered a pretty decent year. Todd Hirsch, ATB chief economist, talked about the possibilities of certain economic factors. First one being oil hitting $80. He gave that a 75 to 1 odds, being very highly unlikely, as is oil dropping to $20. Most likely at 3 to 1 odds was oil ending the year at $55. He gave a 10 to 1 odd on interest rates going up. More likely, he said, they were to go down. Our unemployment rate went from about 4.5% last year to around 7% right now. 4 to 1 odds were given of it getting to 8%. John Rose from the city of Edmonton attributed this to the ongoing influx of new Edmontonians moving here from other places. Todd gave a 50-50 or 2 to 1 odd on a net out-migration from Edmonton. 2010 was the last time we saw a negative migration number. Fortunately, other than BC, the rest of Canada isn't much more attractive for jobs than Edmonton. For those looking at the odds of the housing market to go down, there's a 7 in 1 chance or highly unlikely chance of it going down 20%. That would be a severe market crash. 3 to 1 chance of it going down between 5 to 10%. He estimates it to be most likely around the 5% mark. In regards to economic recovery, there's a 50-50 chance of a modest recovery by the end of the year. Unlike the last 40 years, this year has the opportunity to see the best chances of our province attracting some diversity to the economy. To sum his position up, he thinks oil will float around $35 to $45 for most of the year and bump up to $55 by the end of the year. Unemployment will hover between 7.5% to 8% through the year, and a coin flip chance of a modest recovery to our economy, and 2016 will be tough for most industries, and the dollar will float between 65 to 70 cents as the U.S. economy recovers. The chief economist from the city of Edmonton, John Rose, also provided some commentary. The Edmonton region's job growth is expected to be positive year over year. His unemployment number showed us around the 6.5% level. On this chart, as of November, it notes that the province gained 14,000 jobs, with the Edmonton region gaining 24,000 jobs. This means, however, that somewhere in the rest of the province, we lost 10,000 jobs. Key points were the increase in construction jobs as a result of what's happening downtown Edmonton and the Redwater upgrader. However, these jobs are not long-term. Our biggest loss was in the manufacturing job area, and these tend to be a long-term, well-paying jobs that will have a longer impact in our economy. As all municipal districts in Alberta saw increases in unemployment rate November to November, Edmonton saw the lowest increase of just over 1%. Provincial average was 2%, with Calgary at 2.5% and Lethbridge Medicine Hat region at just under 4%. He also discussed the leveling off of consumer inflation with a forecast of 2% in 2016. From a municipal perspective, there's an opportunity for them now to address service and infrastructure deficits. Higher vacancy rate will improve housing affordability, and with modest inflation, low interest rates, they can contain costs for capital projects. Katrina Butchert for CMHC brought their opinions of Edmonton's economy and housing outlook. She confirmed some of the observations that John from the City of Edmonton made in regards to the areas of job gains and losses, the growth of Edmonton's jobs, unemployment rate, and net migration numbers. She discussed the rental market in Edmonton. Number of actual apartment units have been increasing for the last 3 years, with quite a few brand new units coming available this past year. Vacancy rate of apartments are expected to inch higher and higher over the next 3 years. Rental rates for apartments will slowly be increasing by about 2%, not because of demand, but rather the fact that there are more newer, nicer units available now. The number of condos for rent has leveled off with vacancy. Apartment vacancies in Edmonton remained the lowest in the province in 2015, with the highest being in Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo area and Grand Prairie at about 28 and 11% respectively. In the resale market, CMHC forecasts were trending differently than what was discussed by our real estate board and Todd from ATB. They are predicting a slight increase of 2% to both the total number of sales and the average sale price of residential real estate in the resale market. Our last speaker, also from ATB Financial, Bruce Edgelow, discussed some very key important elements of our economic situation and provided some interesting perspectives. This is our 7th downturn since 1980, with its cycle typically occurring every 5 to 6 years. The last supply-induced commodity price drop occurred in November 1985 and took 5 years for prices to recover. Interesting to note is that the average cost of a barrel of oil for the last 100 years has been around the $50 mark. It's only been in the last 10 years that prices have exceeded $50 due largely to increasing demand in China. This chart shows the difference between the downturn in the 80s compared to now. In my opinion, I think we are in much better shape than we were in the 80s and much better for a quicker recovery. We've seen downturns like this before with lower oil prices. However, with a different provincial government in place versus the government of the past 40 years, I'm hesitant to think that the recovery will mimic the last downturn, which may be better or worse. I agree that in 2015 and also in 2016, we will have been cushioned from the economic situation due to the ramp up of the construction business, which employed many in our area that had otherwise lost their oil-related jobs. I agree with Todd that there seems to be a bigger push by the private and public sector to diversify our economy and think outside the box when it comes to new industries. I don't think the new CMHC down payment rules for homes over $500,000 will have a major impact on the housing market due to the capacity of those in that market to afford the additional 5% down over $500,000. I think that the real estate board is slightly optimistic in its estimate of approximately a 2.7% decrease in sales volume and pricing this year. However, I do think Todd Hirsch from ATB was a bit liberal with his 5% number. CMHC's prediction is what I will respectfully call out to lunch, with a 2% increase in resale volume and average price. I predict that a 3 to 3.2% reduction in both the number of transactions and average home price is reasonable expectation and reflects the customer feedback that we are receiving. At RE/MAX River City, we expect our sales volume to increase as it did last year. We know that when the market gets tough and the percentage of homes that hit the market versus what sells decrease, that the consumers turn to the brand they trust the most. RE/MAX accounted for over 41% of the market share for MLS sales in the Edmonton area in 2015. RE/MAX River City accounted for over 6%. That means that on average, more than 1 out of every 20 homes that sold in Edmonton last year was sold by one of our associates. RE/MAX River City has the best industry training, support, and with 3 locations, it is positioned to produce the best results that our clients expect from a top brokerage.